Coming up on today's wrestling news, WWE's president comments on a potential CM Punk return.
Asuka tweets support for Nia Jax.
A major title change on last night's NXT.
And an ex-WWE champion teases a return.
I'm Adam Wilborn.
And I'm Phil Chambers.
This is the news. So, is CM Punk heading back to WWE? Let's be honest, it's not going to be the last time we cover something like this,
Nope,
I sense.
we're going to be speculating for a long ass time.
But obviously the merger between WWE and UFC, TKO, whatever they're flipping called now, finished yesterday. And as a result of that, Nick Khan, WWE's president, was sitting down with Mark Raimondi of ESPN, was asked about a potential return for CM Punk to WWE. He's not been there since 2014, I believe. And, well, he's not going to be going back to AEW anytime soon, considering what's been going on.
Makes you say that?
It's every time this year, this time of year, every year, isn't it? Brawl in, brawl out.
Take it all about, brawl it all about, I guess.
So yes, Nick Khan was asked about it, and he said, "Listen, we only have respect for Phil. We appreciate his run here. We appreciate what he did and tried to do with the UFC." Not many people could actually get in there and do what he did, so when we have respect for Phil, we wish him nothing but the best. I sense, I'm not going to get ahead of myself here, because let's not forget, I was the one who predicted CM Punk's return to wrestling.
It's true.
I may have said it was in WWE.
Every year for like 3 years, but whatever.
But this does feel like, how can I put this? Letting someone down gently.
Yeah, probably. Just, we've got respect for you, but you do you, Phil. You do
Maybe
you.
have a cooling down period.
Hey, never say never in the crazy ass world of wrestling.
I would
as
not
they
rule
say.
out him being at WrestleMania 40, for example.
It would be absolutely hilarious to see how quickly he can ruin WWE backstage as much as he did AEW. I'd be well up for it.
I want to see it.
I want to see it. I love the punker. Get him back on my TV somewhere. It's not going to be AEW, so why not WWE? He can do more UFC fights as well.
Yeah.
He can tie it into Endeavor.
I mean, I wouldn't suggest it, but yeah. And hey, at least WWE make sure there's people there to pick him up from the airport.
This is true. Does Dana White still like him? I assume Dana White still likes him. He probably made him a lot of money.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Disappointed though.
He did 2 big shows for them, despite the fact he had no previous MMA fights. So
Made him a bunch of money.
I don't remember him ever like bad mouthing him or anything. But then again, you know, Dana White didn't just let jumped up little twats talk about him on
This is true.
television.
Hey, it's not a no.
I'm joking.
It's not a no. That's what I'm getting.
I would not rule it out, and I certainly wouldn't rule out us suggesting it could happen again in the future.
We suggested it for 7 years last time, so here comes another 7.
Hey, we got a new channel to pay for.
Exactly.
Go and subscribe to this, by the way, if you haven't already.
Speaking of, we are launching a new podcast channel. These guys with their bloody podcast, you're going to be able to see this face do podcasts.
I'm so sorry.
So go over WhatCulture Wrestling Podcast on YouTube. But Nia Jax came back on Raw.
She did indeed.
And obviously since then, Twitter has been a flurry, let's say, with words of probably not support or encouragement for the vast majority. Apart from one person, Asuka is standing up
Asuka.
for Nia Jax on Twitter. So it all started, well, she put out a tweet just saying, your words always hurt a lot of wrestlers though. Are you perfect people? Are you? Ask yourselves this.
I'm not.
But then she was replying to a Wrestle Features tweet. They said, thoughts on bringing Nia Jax back, the right move, ? And she replied to this, just saying, that question is rude and bullying. You're hurting her heart with this question.
Oh.
Are you really a person with a heart? If someone has not been directly harmed by her, denies her, I will fight the society for her. If I am criticized for it, I don't care. I really love broken English tweets. They're absolutely fantastic. But she carried on, because a fan was like bringing up other situations in which Nia Jax has been involved with people who have got hurt.
She has got a history, let's
She has got a bit of a
that.
history, but one specific person brought up the Kairi Sane incident where she threw her into the steel steps and she got the big gash on her head. Asuka replies to this, just saying, wrestlers fight knowing that there is possibility of injury. Kairi doesn't blame anyone for her injuries. She is not stupid, but are you a victim? And then later on she tweeted saying, I broke a tooth and tore 5 tendons in my shoulder. I also suffered many other injuries, including knees and ankles, but that was no one's fault. If anything, it was my own poor defense at the time. But this is a battlefield. I am a warrior of love. I love Asuka so much.
Yes.
But Asuka coming out supporting Nia Jax, just thinking, yeah, I guess getting people to think twice about what they tweet, because tweets can hurt. Words can hurt.
I can see where she's coming from with that. Look, at the end of the day, look at social media the morning after Monday Night Raw where Nia Jax returned, and it wasn't a great deal of, oh, I'm so excited to see her matches with X, Y, and Z. It was a lot of people predicting quite a lot of doom, and at the same time, like I say, I do think Nia Jax has a bit of a rap sheet when it comes to injuring people, but you know, it's a fresh start for her. We don't know what she's been up to in the time away. She hasn't worked anywhere else. So it's very much a case of let's just let it play out and not necessarily get ahead of ourselves. Look, she is a big performer in the women's division, which understandably means that sometimes when she's chucking around people the size of Kairi Sane, that stuff can happen. I am not defending what she did to Kairi Sane.
Wrestling is hard.
Yeah, but you know, it's a fresh start for her.
Rollins injured his fair share of people. I'm just gonna put that out there.
Yeah, it's a fresh start for her. I think it's fair to say myself and a lot of people are apprehensive.
Yeah.
And you know, I do have some dream matches penciled in for my WrestleMania 40 card. We will be at WrestleMania 40. We haven't organised anything. I'm just you know, willing it into existence.
This new channel's going to pay for it.
If we go to WrestleMania 40, I get like 4, 5, 6 days of good nights of sleep, don't I? Please, God, let me go.
Are you allowed to go to WrestleMania 40? That's the biggest question here.
It's fine. I'll just say I've just nipped to the shops. Phil, get the passports. But yeah, I do think. Apprehension, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. And hey, let's be nice on social media, even if it is an absolute dumpster fire. But
there you go.
Let us know your thoughts. Be nice on Nia Jax's return in the comments section below. And we'll move over to last night's NXT, because there were some major developments on there. There were some big matches added to NXT No Mercy. We'll be talking about that on the podcast. It's not available as a video podcast yet, but it's available as an audio podcast. WhatCulture Wrestling, wherever you get your podcast from. Myself and the Dadleys, the collective Dadley boys now.
Yep, you're going to have to change that.
We'll be talking about that a little bit later on today. But the big news, spoiler alert, although you've probably seen this already if you've been on Twitter or anything today, Becky Lynch is your new NXT Women's Champion. She fought Tiffany Stratton in the main event of last night's show and finally captured the one title that has eluded her during her time in WWE. Obviously, this was set up by Tiffany Stratton accidentally saying, look at all the people who've been NXT Women's Champion. You've got Bayley, you've got Charlotte, you've got Becky Lynch. Right, one of those things isn't true. But now it is. Becky Lynch defeated her, avoiding a prettiest moonsault ever and then countering that basically with a manhandle slam to get the 1, 2, 3. That ends Tiffany Stratton's reign at 107 days. I think she's great. I think she's more than ready for the main roster. Or if they decide to put it back on her, I think Becky Lynch giving her the rub would just remind everyone and really emphasise the fact that Tiffany Stratton is just a brilliant talent that they've got down there in NXT. And Becky Lynch becomes the sixth WWE Women's Grand Slam champion. That's both women's main roster titles, tag titles, and the NXT Women's Championship. All the other horsemen have got it, of course. Bayley, Sasha, and Charlotte. The other two being, someone we've mentioned already, Asuka and Rhea Ripley.
Yeah, good stuff this, and I think it's
good match.
As an experiment as well of like putting Becky Lynch down there, it feels like it's worked. Like a lot of the comments on Twitter today have been of like glowing support for Tiffany Stratton and the fact that like it's brought new eyes to NXT, people that might not have watched it earlier, and in terms of like a showcase for A, what that show is, and like B, for Tiffany Stratton herself. I don't think you could ask for much more, really.
Intriguing to see what happens. I mean, I don't care about this sort of thing, but people put stock in this, and it is important, I suppose, for TV revenue or what have you. Intriguing to see what happens with the ratings with this, not just on last night's show, but going forward. You've got Dirty Dom, he did a big number when he went down there. He's down there still, obviously. Becky Lynch back on NXT, which very much regressed to developmental for a while.
Yeah.
Baron Corbin's down there, of course, as well.
Mad to think it's the first time she's won that title as well.
Yeah.
Think of the 4 horsewomen in NXT, you just kind of assume they've all won it, but nope. I guess when you look back at what she was doing in NXT most of the time, it's kind of understandable. And then by the time she got the steampunk stuff, she was off to the main roster.
Yeah.
And it's
and that was when Stephanie McMahon invented women's wrestling, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Women's Revolution, sorry. Yeah.
Apart from Bayley, she wasn't.
God, no.
She wasn't.
She wasn't good enough. And then they just went, Sasha needs a friend. There you go.
But speaking of women's wrestling,
Speaking of NXT Women's Champions,
and
yeah.
NXT Women's Champions, there is one that has been teasing a bit of a return. One Mandy Rose has been talking about wrestling again. So she left back in December, obviously, because she was fired after she put some what WWE deemed to be inappropriate pictures on her fan home account. And then she dropped the title to Roxanne Perez and was like let go the day after. And then she went on to make a goddamn fortune.
Fair play.
Becoming a self-made millionaire through her fan home account and all the social media things. Yeah, she smashed it, basically, is what I'm getting at. Good for her. She has been on her Instagram stories doing a Q&A, and some fan asked her about what's happening about returning to wrestling. And she had a response, just saying, "Funny you asked, your girl may or may not be a free agent very soon." Which is interesting, because if she was released in December, what the hell kind of no compete does she have on her contract? If it's only
September now? I didn't even think of that.
Which is absolutely crazy. But yeah, it's funny you should mention that. She might be a free agent soon, so we could see Mandy Rose going elsewhere, maybe.
I think it'd be fascinating to see what she did when she came back, because she obviously had that very specific style of performer that she was.
Yeah.
But you could do like, when Baron Corbin got all rich and stuff, and they did that as a character. She could just do that for real.
Yeah.
She could just be like, you all know this, I am absolutely minted
minted.
now. Intriguing to see what she'd do, where she'd go. But yeah, if she wants to get back into wrestling.
Hell yeah.
I mean, I don't know why you want to hurt yourself if you've already made all that money.
Exactly, yeah. If you're already making hand over fist at home, why not just keep on doing that?
But then again, I think it's one of those things, isn't it?
The wrestling bug gets inside you as well.
You and I both know that people don't get into wrestling for lots of money initially.
Yes.
And
or for the opportunity to do athletics or
Yeah.
something. It's a very specific
love
love for wrestling, and you really have to love it in order to get through it.
We'll keep an eye out for her, though. Good luck to her, whatever she decides to do.
Yeah.
Right, let's move over to your Twitter questions at WhatCulture WWE. Of course, if you want to get in touch with us. First question today comes from Sean Acklin. Thanks, as always, for the question, Sean. Sean writes, "Congrats to Becky Lynch becoming NXT Women's Champion. I'm all for crossing the streams, but isn't a main roster wrestler becoming an NXT Champion a problem for the superstars of tomorrow? And also, why don't they mix it up with main roster stars on those shows?"
Yeah, this is true. It doesn't really work the opposite direction often, but I guess that the feeling of sort of making it onto Raw or SmackDown still has that idea of the call-up, like you're ready.
Yeah.
And you're going
They
into
haven't
the
worked
big
like dark
kind of
matches
things.
on Raw and SmackDown, don't they, as well?
Yeah. So if, like that, it's still got some kind of prestige to do the thing of moving to Raw and SmackDown. But I still think putting WWE stars, main roster stars, back down to NXT, they probably should have been doing for a lot longer than they have been doing, and to try and shine a light on those people. Because at the end of the day, it is sort of the developmental band. People are supposed to be getting better, but the only way people get better is by wrestling people much better than they are, which is the main roster stars. Because by the time you've gone through the NXT system, you move on when you're ready, and you need those people for people to work with in order for them to get better.
Yeah, I will say this. I'm a huge fan of NXT. It went through a weird period, and I think that made me fall in love with it even more. And I'm not saying that they shouldn't have main roster stars win titles. I would be very upset if, let's say, no offense to him because he's a friend of the channel, if Baron Corbin was the guy to beat Carmelo Hayes, I wouldn't be best pleased about it. But yeah, you've got now Becky Lynch as women's champion, North American champions, Dirty Dom. I do think that works quite well. And I think it also matters how long they hold it for and how they drop the title to someone else. Like I said, if she then drops it back to Tiffany Stratton, or I know she had something with Kiana James on last night's show, for example. It's a good way of like, bloody hell, Becky Lynch, NXT Women's Champion, that'll get more eyes on the product. And then, oh my God, this person has beaten her. That must mean they're great. Dirty Dom's just been a git, basically. But I'm intrigued to see his match with Mustafa Ali at No Mercy in a few weeks' time. And yeah, in terms of getting them up on the main roster, I think you also... There's two things. You don't want to spoil the pot when they do eventually go up.
Yeah.
But also, let a lot less, as much as I would like to see more people watching it, a lot less people watch NXT. So if you just, on a random show in, I don't know, pick an American city, if you just went, in Buffalo, we're going to have Wesley or just someone like that, just randomly show up, would it get the reaction? Or would people be like, I don't really know who that person is?
Yeah.
Then again, there's about 5 to 10 people on that roster that I'd be like, you could put them on the main roster tomorrow if you introduce them correctly and then be absolutely fine. Someone like Roxanne Perez has been more than ready to move up to the main roster for ages.
Yeah.
And I think she's already got stuff built in. Like, she was the one who had to fight Rhea Ripley when they were doing like a pick your poison thing with her and Cora Jade. So I'd not be against it. Basically, don't hold all the NXT titles hostage with main roster talent. Put it on them fine to get attention on the product and put other people over. And yeah, let's get more people going up to the main roster because they are just stacked with talent down in NXT. Y119813.
Catchy.
Normally when people with that sort of handler in my mentions, they are abusing me on social media. But they write, do you think WWE making their version of a female Blackpool Combat Club with Zoe Stark and Shayna Baszler?
Maybe.
They kick ass.
I mean, they had it a little bit with Shayna and Ronda Rousey, but then they broke up after like 2 minutes. But yeah, I mean, I'd be into it, to be fair. I think I still have no faith in the women's tag title,
Yeah.
unfortunately. And I love Chelsea Green. I think she's so entertaining. And the team that they've got going with Piper or whoever she decides that week is going to be her tag team.
Why didn't we get the auditions, man?
The auditions would have been great. There's a lot more you can do with this, and the time they're getting is mad. But then you just have Shayna beat Chelsea Green in like 2 minutes or more, and you're like, what are you doing? So I think there's a lot more they can do with the women's tag belts. I don't have much faith in them doing it, but hopefully it feels like they're putting more energy in it than they have done for a long time, which is good.
Yeah, and if you're going to have Zoe and Shayna be a team, they have to be a team with no issues for about a year.
Yeah.
Because like you say, you've literally just done that with one of the most famous female MMA athletes ever.
Yeah. And it also, nothing against Starks, but it feels like a step down for Shayna at this point, because she's just had the big match with Ronda Rousey. She basically ended Rousey's wrestling career, and
Stark just had the whole thing with Trish as well,
yeah, and then nothing. And it's like, it felt like they were energizing Shayna Baszler to sort of push her back up into the sort of top tier women.
Yeah, she could easily be a title challenger, couldn't she?
Really, really easily. And it's been a long time since she's had that kind of focus. So I don't know.
Do you remember the Elimination Chamber, Phil?
Yes, I remember.
Finally, Eddie Zamharik is our final question of the day. Speaking of MMA stars, hello boys and welcome back, Pappy Wilborn. Thank you, Eddie. With WWE and UFC merging to become a trading company, what crossover stars do you see going between both companies? Right, I'll just answer the first part of this. We've tried the WWE to UFC experiment, and I'm sure...
Let's do it more!
I'm sure Bobby Lashley will be absolutely fine. And obviously Matt Riddle's got experience there. But
I don't see Matt Riddle working with Dana White anytime soon.
And we just talked about CM Punk. Look, I'm sure lots of people with big muscles.
The Miz in UFC.
Shayna Baszler had time. Basically, unless you've already been an MMA fighter, don't maybe make the crossover to UFC from professional wrestling.
Why not?
But
it'd be funny.
You could easily make the argument of a lot of stars from UFC making that jump over, as has happened, as I mentioned, a lot of times already.
Yeah, I don't care about UFC, it's fake.
I love this when they were like, TKO were like, yeah, we get WWE fans into UFC and UFC fans into WWE. I was like, you sure about that one?
You sure?
There's like me, Adam Nicholas, and a select few that are like, we like both.
I like entertainment in my fighting, thank you very much.
I'm not just going to give the boring stock answer of Conor McGregor, because we say that every single time. I think, you've got... I find someone like Rose Namajunas an absolutely fascinating individual. I think she could do stuff. Sugar Sean O'Malley's a fairly obvious one as well.
Who's that guy with the teeny tiny legs you were showing me earlier?
That is boxer Andy Ruiz Jr.
Boxer?
Yeah.
Right.
But who knows? He's got a great personality, and he beat Anthony Joshua a while back, of course. And Israel Adesanya is another just really intriguing individual.
I know them.
You've got Derek Lewis, who's just
Yeah,
funny.
I know Derek. Derek's good.
Sean Strickland's just won the title. He's dangerous to put a live mic in front of, let's just say that. But who knows? And then You've got John Jones, who's John Jones, and Google all you need to know about that man.
I can't remember who did the statement, but from someone from the sort of Endeavour lot were like, oh yeah, like once all of our stars are done in UFC, they could just go over to WWE. It's like, oh yeah, that's all right. Once we're done with them, WWE can have them.
Do you think Shane McMahon's like, so we've merged with UFC, Dad, huh? Wish someone could have said a while back that we should have maybe... Anyway. Right, let us know your thoughts on everything we've discussed in the comments. Make sure you go and subscribe to our new video podcast channel. And yeah, What Culture Wrestling, wherever you get your podcasts from, for more podcasts coming later on today. He's been Phil Chambers. I've been Adam Wilborn. We'll see you soon.